Hello, I am Dr. Carl Middleton, the Interim Senior Vice President for Mission for the CHI Texas Division. It's my pleasure to be here with you today, and particularly to talk about Catholic identity. As you may all be aware, that all of us within the CHI Texas Division are now Catholic health facilities. And so we want to spend some time talking about that today. What is our mission? What is our ministry? And then also, what are the implications for you and I as leaders, and for those of you who are also employees? I'd like to start with a little history. CHI was founded back in May 1st, 1996. And they were founded basically by 13 congregations of women religious. And each of these congregations had what we call a charism. A charism is a gift of the Spirit. This gift can be thought of as a talent or potential that can be used to alleviate suffering and improve our world. Each congregation of women religious that participates in Catholic health initiatives has a charism. The charism of the congregations became a core element of that congregation's identity. So the Dominicans was preaching the Word of God. Franciscans was care of the earth. The women religious addressed the needs of their times, and they were always responding to the signs of the times, and we'll talk about that in a few moments. But sometimes they arrived in a town, and for the purpose of which they came was to teach in elementary schools, only to find out that this one instance, the elementary school had burned down and there was a plague. So the sisters founded a hospital and being out in the community to help heal the people. So that's what I mean by responding to the signs of the times. Our mission statement at CHI Texas Division is to nurture the healing ministry of the church, supported by education and research. Fidelity to the gospel urges us to emphasize human dignity and social justice as we create healthier communities. What is interesting about this mission statement is it was changed just a couple years ago to add 2 words. It was supported by education and research. We have recently, in the last few years, our relationship with Baylor College of Medicine and also Creighton University said we needed to change the mission statement to make sure that those persons there in those institutions felt included. So Catholic Health Initiatives today is a multi-institutional healthcare system of over 110 some odd facilities that we are dedicated to the healing ministry of the Catholic Church, and I'll talk about that in a few moments. And we have both a civil and a canonical identity and accountability. Our board reports to Rome every 3 years, and Rome holds us accountable for how we are living our mission and our ministry. But what has made CHI extremely unique was that we formed, it was the first time that we formed a religious lay partnership. Always before, those partnerships were then obviously sponsored by the religious congregations. Today, you and I are called to carry on the founders' legacy of Catholic healthcare with the person as the center of all of our work. You may be aware by now that CHI has 4 core values: that of reverence, a profound and respect and awe for all of creation, the foundation that shapes spirituality and our relationships with others, and our journey to God. Integrity, moral wholeness, soundness, fidelity, and faithfulness and truthfulness in all that we do, to be as transparent as totally possible. Compassion, solidarity with one another, the capacity to enter into another's joy and sorrow. Excellence, preeminent performance becoming the benchmark, putting forth our personal and professional best every day. So first I would like to talk a little bit about mission. A mission statement should answer the basic question, who sent you where to do what? So that's Middleton's profound definition, so I'll repeat it for you. Well, who sent you where to do what? So we've learned that our founders has called us to carry on Jesus' healing ministry of the church by bringing new life and energy and vitality in the 21st century. This is the purpose of CHI. Within CHI, we understand mission as our cumulative effort to make the presence of God and the healing of Christ manifest in all that we do. This is what all of us who are called to participate in the healing ministry of CHI are trying to achieve. So in the CHI Texas Division, mission enables us to know who we are and why we exist. Foundational to that is what we refer to as Catholic social teaching. It's the foundation on which our health ministry is begotten. The 7 principles are the 7 themes of Catholic social teaching, as life and the dignity of the human person, the call to community and participation in their community, rights and responsibilities of other persons, the option for the poor and the vulnerable, the dignity of work and the right of workers to participate in major decisions, and solidarity, that we are all brothers and sisters to each other. And last but not least, and been a major emphasis of Pope Francis in his papacy, is the care for God's creation, and where it has been wounded, the healing of God's creation. Now, some people ask, well, what is it that you do as a senior vice president of mission? I'd like to use the metaphor that mission is about building bridges. Mission is about building relationships. Mission is about rebuilding relationships when those relationships have been harmed. Mission is about making connections. It's about making connections, especially to our heritage and our legacy. And mission is about bringing people together around ministry to experience the presence of God. And ministry is the work we are called to do, each and every one of us. So if mission is what we do and why we do it, ministry is how we do the work we do. So the more formal definition of ministry is defined as public service acknowledged by believers as fulfilling the mission of the church and the mission of Jesus. The church acknowledges that Catholic health facilities continue the healing ministry of Jesus. Now, ministry is related to mission as means to an end, and all who work in a Catholic health system or organization participate in the healing ministry of the church and therefore are ministers, regardless of any religious affiliation or religious denomination. It's all inclusive. All persons associated with CHI are called to help fulfill that mission and to nurture the healing ministry of the church. And I have a picture of one of our ministers. He's a groundskeeper doing the ministry of caring for the grounds. So within CHI, we understand ministry as the how and the why that governs what all of us who are called to participate in the healing work of CHI are trying to achieve. It is important to note that our mission remains constant, but our ministries will evolve or change as CHI responds to the signs of the times, just as the sisters who got off the train and anticipating opening up an elementary school opened up a hospital instead. Back in 1963 through 1965, the Catholic Church experienced a momentous event, and that was called the Second Vatican Council. And one of my favorite quotes from those documents, and they're like that thick, it comes from the pastoral constitution of the church in the modern world. To carry out such a task, the church has always had the duty of scrutinizing the signs of the times and interpreting them in the light of the gospel. Thus, in language intelligible to each generation, she can respond to the perennial questions which people ask about this present life and the life to come, about the relationship of the one to the other. We must therefore recognize and understand the world in which we live, its explanations, its longings, and its often dramatic characteristics. In the CHI Texas Division, and responding to the signs of the times, you have a number of examples: the aging process, the retirement of the baby boomers, technologies and developments, treatments and developments in technology, Catholic identity, rural ministries, caring of the dying and the sick. So this is all what we would say would be responding to the signs of the times. In the CHI Texas Division, I'd like to just take a few moments to share with you how we are organized to do mission within the CHI Texas Division. Mission services covers and has responsibilities for mission within each of the facilities, spiritual care. We sponsor clinical pastoral education. We deal with the ethical issues. And when I talk about ethical issues, we'll talk about a little bit more when we talk about the ethical and religious directives, but we're not just talking about bioethics, or clinical ethics, we're talking about organizational as well as social ethics. And then we have volunteer services, and then healthy communities. And so these are the 6 areas that we are responsible for. And of course, then we have not only the mission persons at Baylor St. Luke's, but we also have the mission personnel from Brazosport and Lufkin and Memorial, as well as then St. Joseph in Bryan, Texas. Our goals for mission in this year of 2018 is that many may not be aware, but we have what is called alignment rooms, and those alignment rooms are to help keep our focus on our environments, on safety and quality care, and the metrics that go along with that. And so we basically said that we in mission has metrics. The folks attending sacred vocations, all the times and the number of times that we visit and care for and minister to patients and families, all the projects that we have going on in healthy communities, the community benefit, which is critically important, maintaining of our not-for-profit status 501(c). So there are a number of metrics that we're trying to put into these rooms. That all leaders will attend sacred vocations, that this helps us focus on and celebrate our call to this special ministry. That, and this is one of the responsibilities that I'm doing today, that we are to provide an in-service on Catholic identity and the ethical and religious directives to all leaders and to those employees as appropriate. And in partnership with HR, to develop and implement a plan to improve morale in 2 areas. We have found, given the reduction in force, up through this past April, and as well as then Harvey, the morale in some areas is difficult for people. They are depressed, and so we need to reach out and minister to those people. And then for those that are not having alignment rooms, we're asking them to look for ways that they can better market mission services and better educate people about and make more fully aware of the services that we in mission provide. So now I want to ask you the question that you would think along with me. What does the word Catholic mean to you? And do you spell Catholic with a capital C or a small c? Now, when I have a large number of people, I ask them what comes to mind. And oftentimes when they hear the word Catholic, and they'll say the Pope, and they'll say priests and sisters and crucifixes and that. And I sort of respond back jokingly, you didn't say bingo, and you didn't say fish fries on Friday night during Lent. Those are also opportunities and expressions of being Catholic. But sometimes people will think Catholic means just Roman Catholic. When I was brought up and went to Catholic grade school, the sisters taught me that Catholic came from a Greek word, katholika, which means universal. And that's universal love and embrace of every human being. But recent scholarship now tells us that it comes from two Greek words, kat and holos, which basically means to make whole. What we are about in all of our facilities is really helping our patients, our families, to mind, body, spirit wholeness. And I think everyone associated with our facilities can say, amen to that. That's something that we can help do. Identity, the term identity is the distinguishing character or personality of an individual. And so in light of CHI's legacy, I'm going to suggest that no one thing determines our identity. That in Catholic healthcare, all of us are called to be universal in terms of our love and embrace for each person as we try to facilitate their coming to wholeness. I provide a reflection question for you. In light of the signs and the times and CHI's mission and healing ministry, what do you consider to be the essential elements of Catholic identity for your ministry setting? Well, I'm going to suggest some. A few years back, I was reading Pope Benedict XVI's encyclical, God is Love. And in that document, he identifies three constitutive or essential elements of the church: proclaiming the word of God, forming community, and providing ministry of charity and service. And so as I began to reflect on that, and as I began to think about that we, CHI, we are a church-related institution. And our leaders and employees have a threefold responsibility within our sphere of influence to proclaim a message, facilitate the formation of community, and provide caring service. And I'd like to unpack that for you. The message, each of us are called to proclaim the human dignity, the reverence, care, and respect for each person, that we affirm one another. I remember back when I was a child, and my mother's favorite song was "There'll Never Be Another You." And it was Nat King Cole, a gold record for Mr. Cole. And so my mother, as she was cleaning and do things, and she would be listening to the radio, and that song came on, she would be singing along, and the chorus went, "There'll never be another you." But I don't know why, but every time she came to the chorus, and she sang, "There'll never be another you," she would stop, look at me, and say, "Thank God." So you just don't get any respect these days, even from parents, So we are unique and precious. I like that. There'll never be another you nor me. And that's why it's so important for us to contribute fully to our work and to what we do and what we're called to do. The second message is that Catholic healthcare is a ministry. Yes, it has lots of business dimensions and finance dimensions to it, but at its core, it's a ministry of carrying on and touching others and bringing the presence of God to other people. The third element is work is an expression of our spirituality. Within CHI, we have what I consider a unique definition of spirituality. Spirituality is striving to give meaning and purpose to one's life, situation, and circumstance. Now you notice there was no word called religion in that definition. You can express your spirituality through belonging to religious organizations and religious affiliations, but spirituality is about what meaning do you give and what purpose do you give to your life and your situation. So we say work is an expression of our spirituality. In the Bible, work is used in two ways. Work is the work of God, which is creating all of life and human beings. And for human beings, work is a way to thank God for being created, for our life and stuff. And so work is an expression of that, or ought to be an expression of that. So what key messages do I seek to communicate as a leader or as an employee? The second element of Catholic identity is community. And that we are called to form community with God. That's why we place a great deal of emphasis on our spiritual care departments, providing sacraments and mass and rituals and prayer services and reflections and all the things that go on with that. The community with the church, and that's why we have established close relationships with the local bishops and the local hierarchy, the priests and pastors of the parishes, and ministers of all denominations. And then community with each other and those we serve. And I want to say something, just a little something about those who serve, our teammates. One of the difficulties that we've experienced in America has been the social status, that a doctor is better than an employee, a 4-year nurse is better than a 2-year nurse, a 2-year nurse is better than an LPN, and that kind of thing. From where we come from, and what we're attempting to do within CHI is to say, we look upon it like a stained glass window. 1,000 pieces of glass go make up the beauty. Now, it doesn't make any difference whether the piece of glass is in the foreground or the background of that picture being depicted. If a piece of that glass was broken or missing, the whole stained glass window is distorted and incomplete. That's why what you do is so vitally important to who we are and what we are about. One of the things, though, that I get concerned as I go around to our facilities, and if I get there early, I'll go into the cafeteria and have a coffee. And so I'll find a group of employees, and I'll go over and says, "Hi, may I join you?" And they say, "Yeah." I said, "Sit down." So I sit down, and I said, "Well, let me introduce myself." So I'm Carl, and so I said, and your name? I'm Susie. "Well, Susie, what do you do?" "I'm just a secretary." "Billy, what do you do?" "I'm just in maintenance." Isn't that something? Have you ever heard that? People say that? What are they trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that they don't feel what they do is as important as what others' roles in the organization are. And we have to stop that. That is not about mission. Mission is about enabling each person to feel good about their gifts and their talents and providing opportunities for them to fully contribute that to us. So I have a dream one day that they'll just say, "I'm just Susie, and I'm a secretary, and I am proud of it." Or, "I'm Willie, and I mop floors, and I do a great job mopping those floors, and I'm proud of it." Discussion question: how do I foster community with God and the church, with each other, and those we serve? And last but not least, service. As a Catholic health system, we are called to provide service, person-centered care. And what we mean by that is we assess mind, body, spirit needs. And then after assessing the mind, body, spirit needs, we can make personal or tailor-made responses to the individuals because we know their mind, body, spirit needs. And because no one person can meet your mind, body, spirit needs, it takes a team. It takes a team of doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals coming together and chaplains coming together to minister to those patients and families. Solidarity to the poor. And that's why we're busy with healthy communities and looking at opportunities to increase opportunities to serve. And especially that's challenging today, given the financial tough times, yet the sisters had prided themselves in not turning patients away because they could not pay. That's becoming extremely challenging for us today, and that's why we're concerned, and we have to work hard to be able to say, how do we make healthcare more affordable and accessible, particularly to the poor and the vulnerable. And then stewardship of resources, including human, financial, and environmental resources. Discussion question. What are the key elements of service that I provide to others? Now, the moment that probably many of you have been waiting for, and that's the summary, the conclusion. As I stated previously, no one element is definitive of Catholic identity. To me, Catholic identity is the outcome of consistently proclaiming our message, forming community, and providing compassionate, caring service in response to the signs of the times. This is going to be challenging because how do we move from acute care to population risk-based ministry? How can we describe the healthcare as Catholic, and what are the implications of moving from an acute care fee-for-service approach to population risk-based ministries? What is our role as leaders and employees in translating Catholic identity for these very different ministries of the future? This is the challenge before us. But together, we can make it happen, and together, we can make that transition. I leave with telling you about Dr. Albert Schweitzer, who was a missionary doctor. And his hospital was in the African jungle. And he had a light on outside the hospital 24 hours a day. Under its glow was this sign: at whatever hour you come, you will find light and hope and human kindness. And I would add, for the CHI Texas Division, I would add the word healing. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to hear my presentation.